All right, I'll call this meeting to order. This is Town Council meeting on February 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Let's see, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Sure. So, Councilman Larson. Councilman Dickerson.
Here.
Mayor Green.
Here.
Councilman Castillo.
Here.
And Councilman Burchard.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum of the council with Councilman Larson absent.
Oh, thank you. Did you want to start off with announcements?
Yes, I do have one.
Okay.
So it was posted on our Facebook page today, so if you're interested, look there. But the town of Alpine is currently seeking quality photographs of Alpine or surrounding areas to Alpine to be, so basically the greater Alpine area, to be displayed on our new website that will be going live soon. So the recommended photo size for background photos on the site is 1920 by 1080. So there's, you can, those of you who are photographers and understand all that photograph speak can check out the Facebook page. But there's specific requirements. And so as the town of Alpine is is unable, we don't have a budget to pay anybody for the photographs for the new website, but we'd really like, we know we have some great photographers. So the goal would be to give them credit for any of the photographs that we utilize. And we're also would be able to put a link on our website once it's live to the photographer's website as credit for putting the photo on our site. So if there's anybody who's interested, reach out to Melody, and you can get her at admin@alpinewy.gov. So yeah, so we'd love any of you photographers who are willing to do it for photo credit. We'd be happy to consider your work.
Yes, thank you. I think it'll look great on our website, our new website. So, yeah, please let all your great photography be seen by the, I don't know, hundreds of people that are going to be visiting our website.
We're at 9 right now
We have 9 people on
on YouTube.
YouTube, so I'm
There you
sure
go.
we'll get a lot more on the website. But thank you for that, Madam Clerk. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at all the items on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Is there any adjustments to the consent agenda? Okay, since there's no adjustments, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on down to reports, I'll go first. I keep saying this one, but the special purpose tax is something that is becoming a pretty big topic, and we are looking for projects to bring forward for the special purpose tax. Just as a reminder, so everyone knows, special purpose tax is kind of that 6th penny tax, but we don't really say it's the 6th penny tax because it's a little confusing. But right now we pay 5% on sales tax, and that would go up to 6, and that 6th cent would pay for special purpose projects. It would pay for projects that we bring forward throughout the county. And there's a few things that have come up recently that I think are pretty appealing. The county brought forward an option to use our wastewater treatment plant as a place where people could pump, the sewer, the septic, the people that are doing that. And that could bring in a fair amount of money. So I think we're going to be talking to Jorgensen about coming up with a plan for that. And then another one that has been brought forward, which I think is a great idea, is a outdoor recreation area that would be basically an ice rink for us in the winter. And that we would have hopefully hockey teams and ice skating and broom ball. And I'd love to start curling and things of that nature. So I think it would be a great option. But what we have to do as a council is bring forward projects that we think would be bona fide and be a great addition to the community. So we're looking to do that, and we have to have the results. Basically, we have to come up with our plans by, I believe, the March meeting. So if anyone in the community has ideas of great uses for those monies, we'd be all ears. So, and I will yield the rest of my time to Councilman Castillo to discuss, give us a quick update on the Education Committee, if you don't mind.
Yes, so we will be setting a public meeting. We are required to have 4 public meetings a year, so just check out the website. We would love as many people who are passionate about this project to come and give us some ideas. We're also going to be submitting written reports so that those will be on record and the public will be able to access everything that was discussed. We have some movement on the legislative front. Our consultant is hard at work. So hopefully the next meeting, we will have a solid update on what has happened and more of the procedural issues that we're facing, along with funding. I would mark your calendars if you're interested. March 13th is the school board meeting. They usually start at 6 p.m., but they move into executive session. So I would say if you're interested in coming, probably come around 6:30. And that's at the School District Administrative Office in Afton at 360 South Jefferson. So again, that'll be March 13th, around 6:30 p.m.
Will you guys be presenting at that meeting?
We are on the agenda, yes. So
Yep.
the more support, the better.
I'll be going with you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that report. Next is an engineering report. I imagine someone from Jorgensen was here to give a report? Actually, we just kind of were down here, so. Would you like to give a report, or, please, do you mind turning on the microphone, Kevin? Thank you.
How's that?
Thanks, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so a little bit on the first one is the AMI project, meter reading project. We've got that in the process now. We're trying to pull all the pieces together. So the biggest, we've got most of the residential already marked and GIS'd. So we know where all those are at, and we know the pieces, parts, we need to get those fixed to get them ready for the AMR reading. The next one is trying to get all the commercial buildings in and get those, because they're a little bit harder because they're a little bit different size meters and different locations. So we're going to be doing that this spring. So the hope is to pull it all together this spring, early summer, so we can get it out, so we can get bids, and then we can get that process rolling this late summer and the fall for that.
And when do you estimate that we would basically turn the system on and start using it?
If we get it out later this summer, then it would be in the fall that we would be able to turn it on. Yeah.
So
So-
within,
Yeah,
This
within,
calendar year.
that's the hope,
Wow,
before the next winter for sure.
Great.
That's what we're trying for.
Very nice.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of the tower,
Right.
the reading that we've got to work through. So that's a little bit of design stuff we've got to work through as well.
yep,
Yeah. So the next one is the FLAP grant. A little bit, Haley's working on that
Yep.
for the Grays River Road. So we can kind of push that through. So we've got that going on. Then we've also got the pretreatment plant that's going on. We got the transformer set. So we're going to hopefully have power this next week.
that's great.
So that's going to be really nice. The electrician hopes to finish up the building side of it the end of this month, and then finish up the generator next month. And then in the meantime, we're trying to get through the DEQ to get them okay our sketch plan for enclosing that screen press. And then once we have that, then we can get the full design going on the electrical side and that little structure inside the plant.
Right.
And then once we get that done, then we can put it out to bid for those
We
little
have the
bit differences.
application in for the DEQ, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And the DEQ said they would review it this week.
Oh, great.
So
amazing.
hopefully that happens. Yeah.
That's good.
So
Hopefully
it's just
we
little.
can turn that
purchases.
around pretty quickly and,
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Yeah, and then the Snake River generator, they gave us a price that the quote that they've got on that for that generator. So we just need to review to make sure that's exactly what the specs were. And then if y'all
Is
want, y'all
that
can
for
decide
Snake
it.
River Junction? Is that what
Yeah.
it's called? Yeah.
Yeah, because Craig wanted to use those monies to basically get a portable generator to use on all your lift
Can
stations.
we do that?
Yeah,
Okay,
so that'd be a nice way to get a chunk of money to go towards that.
that'd be great.
Yeah, so,
Can you talk a little bit about the flap grant, just so people know what it is, because it's very exciting.
yeah, Federal Land Access
Program.
Program, thank you. So, basically, Grays River Road, like we found out, is like what they want to do this, use this money for. And that is providing access to the Forest Service from the highway kind of thing. And that's exactly what the Grays River Road is. So it's like a perfect example for what it is. We do know that Lincoln County's got some grants going into it, and Teton County has some in there. And I believe she said it was a $10 million for the entire state.
Right,
So there's definitely a little competition going for that.
Right.
So, but we kind of feel like this is like a perfect reasoning for it. That's what it was made for, and, you know, it's a great location.
yeah. That, Grays River Road was, I don't think anyone knows exactly when it was last paved, but it was somewhere in the range of 30 to 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been patchwork forever and ever, and one of the county commissioners told me they had done a traffic study, and during 4th of July, there's upwards of 27, almost 3,000 vehicles a day driving on Grays River Road around the 4th of July. So it's, everyone that lives around there, or it drives it anytime, knows that it's bad. So we think we have a great opportunity to get these funds, and we don't know officially how much it would cost, but that's part of what this money would pay for, would be the initial part of the grant would be to do a study and figure out, and do some of the engineering, planning, and be able to say, okay, this is gonna cost however many millions of dollars to fix this road. So I think we have a very good chance of winning at least the, doing the study and the, the next step.
Right.
So, yeah,
The only nuance I would say is that they do require that y'all take over that road, is what she said.
that's right.
Right.
So
Talking
there's a
over-
little bit
That's
of
the
maintenance.
of that. So there's some question whether we do actually put the parking lot, if we want them to pave that whole thing, because we would be responsible for
Yes.
maintaining it, and pushing the snow off of it, everything, but,
Yeah.
anyway.
Kelly did tell me today, because I did reach out to her
Mm-hmm.
in response to Councilman Larson's question about the parking lot specifically. And she said, so you definitely would have to maintain the asphalt. However, there's probably some room for conversation with the forestry to ask them to continue to plow the snow, if that's something. So she said she felt like that was an agreement that could still be worked through.
They plow it right now?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was probably, but if if there's a crack in it and needs sealed, it's gonna be the town of Alpine
I
who
mean,
pays
that's
for
what
that.
we're already doing on the road anyway. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that, Kevin, the engineering cost, that obviously would be out of our pocket if we didn't get the grant, but otherwise, could we put the money towards that?
For the flap grant?
Yes.
That's actually all included.
Okay.
They actually, when you put it in, Haley showed us that there's actually a way to get a budget.
Okay.
So the first thing is to get a budget, so they have a feel for what number we're looking for. And then they put it in there, and then if we get it, at that point, it also includes all the design fees.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, but there is an initial, and you may not, I don't know if you were copied on, there is an initial cost,
Is that the
For
not to
Jorgensen.
exceed $8,000?
yes,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
for the work. So if,
that's
to
for-
apply,
That's for Jorgensen to write the application.
to be able to write the
Yes.
Yeah.
application
Oh,
and do
right,
all the
yes.
upfront work.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
in the event that we would not be successful, yes.
Yeah.
However, we would still have all the data to be able to apply again.
Yeah, we could just keep up,
Yes.
reapply
Okay.
with the same data just
Right.
change the date on it.
And,
Right,
and, yeah, put in a derivative for inflation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Haley, basically, she gave you that number, as in if you say, right now, I don't have time to do it, we can't get it done, you do it. She could do it for that entire cost.
Okay.
Or it'll be less than that, however much y'all can.
If we can do
So-
some of the work.
Yeah, if you do some of the work or do more of it, then it'll just be less. Yeah,
sounds good. Any other
Yeah.
questions for Kevin? Thanks, Kevin.
all right.
Planning and zoning, it's someone from planning and zoning here for a report?
Stan is supposed to be giving the report, I thought.
Mr. Mayor, Board, P and Z met, and we had a really great meeting. The Hafiz development, replat. We also brought a couple of recommendations of approval, which you have in your packet. We can talk about that later. I really think we're going to have a successful year here. We had quite a discussion around setbacks and what they really mean and how they are really used out in the real world. Here, the verbiage in our LUDCs really doesn't define the limit to that setback. So we brought that nomination, that to you. We've also brought the replat for the new Hafiz
Right.
subdivision. And I think there was one more. Am I missing something though? Oh, yeah.
It was the energy.
Yeah, the
Energy
energy code.
code.
Yeah, which really, it doesn't have much to do with planning and zoning. It has a lot more to do in the design element. So architects, design, engineering, it's all part of that code that helps us define energy responsibility moving forward in the next generations. There is quite a bit of new technology, new building systems, new types of things that we use in our industry, in the building industry now, because of that. And I think it would be a great adoption here. And so those are the things that we're bringing to you, and we'll discuss a little bit more further when it comes
Perfect.
up.
Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Scow.
Yeah, the fees, we were talking about the fees and permits and stuff.
We did, but we're not going to talk about it because we never resolved it. So we'll get to you.
Thank you. It sounds like you
Next
had a
meeting.
successful
To be
first meeting.
continued.
We did. We knocked it around.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Larson's triumvirate of things, and he's not here, so Councilman Castillo offered to give us the update, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, so for the economic development report, his notes state there is a transmission line in the works for the southern part of Lincoln County. He says without his notes, he can't give any other details other than it will be a pass-through southern Lincoln County with the hub located in Soda Springs. From the sound of it, it's very minimal economic impact to Lincoln County. However, they have set a next meeting date to be determined in March.
And then next is utility.
Utility easement update. Working on easements with the county. He needs updates, but the plan is to be dig ready come snow melt.
That'd be great. Tourism travel.
Yes, under Alpine Tourism Travel Board, applications for fiscal year 24-25 are due by March 15th. The board will have their first review and reading meeting scheduled sometime in the first couple weeks of April. Notice will be sent out once the date is confirmed. There look to be, at this point, about 10 applications, and the board is very excited to kick off the inaugural funding session for 24-25 and look forward to receiving applications. Also, the county has formed their tourism board and plan to have an open meeting with other town tourism boards on the 29th, and Councilman Larson plans to attend.
Great. Next is Lincoln County Sheriff's Report that was submitted online, and then Star Valley Health Project update. I don't see Mr. Hunsaker.
It's a third meeting in a row
Oh.
he stood us up.
We'll keep putting him on there. He'll show up eventually. We'll drag him in here one way or another. Do you know anything about that, Madam Clerk?
No,
What is-
other than he was gonna provide an update of the facility.
Right. I think it was just,
So he had a vehicle accident and then he was sick.
yeah.
So I'm not sure why he's not here this month.
But I think he's working with Christine on the.
Yes.
Yeah, the plans.
Yeah.
I think that's all in process. So I think
Yeah,
he just wants to come and just tell us how things are going.
How things are going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get with him next time, I'm sure. Anyways, moving on down, then we are going to jump into our action items. First one up is the ordinance on, let's see, third reading for the Architectural Review Committee. I'll pull this up.
Thank you.
I'm assuming that everyone's had a chance, since this is the third reading, we've gone over this in depth, but is there any comments or changes that we would like to suggest before we make a motion?
Councilman Larson did have a comment.
Yes.
He said, "The resolution does not mention that their aim is for commercial MRC zones only." He'd like to see if that can be clarified.
Yeah, I thought it did say it, but let's just take a look here. I'm on, oh, sorry, I pulled it down from the
Okay.
meeting. You may have to
Oh,
go down.
that's okay.
Yeah,
I'll
Okay.
recognize that.
I can even, I do agree that is the intent of this committee, but I thought,
That's what I thought.
yeah, I thought we had it on here, but let's make sure.
Jim, where would you recommend putting that in?
I was just gonna ask.
Well, get it on the table first, then you have a motion to amend it.
Okay,
Ready?
go ahead.
Make a motion on third reading for ordinance 2023-10, Architectural Review Committee.
We have a motion,
Second, sorry.
we have a second, they can fight over
Yeah,
who
that's
seconded it. Any discussion?
Now your motion to amend.
Let's talk about it real quick. Let's figure out where we want to put this.
So he mentions, quote, "The committee shall have jurisdiction over the design of buildings and landscape within the town of Alpine."
It didn't say commercial, did it?
No.
Oh, here,
It's
this
a
is what he's suggesting.
subsection. Yeah, so you're in the correct place.
Can I see his suggestion real quick?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Could we just put, commercial dash MRC zones?
Zoned buildings and landscape?
There you go. Committee shall have jurisdiction over, commercial and MRC
Oh,
zoned.
You could just move it to after within. The committee shall have jurisdiction over design of building and landscape within
Commercial and MRC zones?
the
Okay.
commercial and MRC zones in the town of Alpine.
Okay,
So you're gonna amend section 4, the first paragraph.
so, yeah, A? Or where?
Section,
Well, isn't the committee shall have jurisdiction over the design of buildings and landscape within, it's not under a subsection, it's my.
So, yeah, I think what we want to do is within, commercial and MRC zoned properties within the town of Alpine, or landscape, commercial, MRC zoned properties within the town of Alpine.
That's right.
So you
Do we have a
moved it
motion?
back to the before buildings?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think then it covers everything below.
Okay, yes, what's the number of the?
I would entertain a amendment to the ordinance where, under section 4, the paragraph would read, "The committee shall have jurisdiction over the design of buildings and landscape for commercial MRC zoned properties within the town of Alpine and shall," subcolon.
Okay. Oh, you
Someone-
wanna do it, Frank?
Sure, why not?
You're on a roll.
Make a motion to amend ordinance 2023-10, Architectural Review Committee, section 4, The committee shall have jurisdiction over the designs and building and landscape within the commercial.
It needs to go,
See, I need it written in front of me.
so after, I think it says so after landscape, say
For commercial and MRC zones only
zoned properties.
in the town of Alpine.
Do you want to try one more time?
Sure.
Thank you.
Make a motion to amend ordinance 2023-10, Architectural Review Committee. Committee shall have jurisdiction over the design and buildings, commercial and MRC zones and properties in the town of Alpine.
We need to try one more time.
Oh, man.
How about, I'll just say it and then you can say so moved.
You know what,
Or
I
you
like
can-
that.
you can
I
say-
like that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Say,
And speak slowly so I can get it off.
okay. I would entertain a amendment to ordinance number 2023-10 under section 4, jurisdiction of committee. The first paragraph shall read, "The committee shall have jurisdiction over the design of buildings and landscape for commercial MRC zoned properties within the town of Alpine and shall, colon."
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Whew, we'll get through this.
Now, discussion on the amendment.
Yes, so any discussion?
I think it sounds great.
Yeah, and I think it covers, that's definitely the intention that we
Yes.
wanted, so I think that covers us. That was the only thing that was brought up, so in general, is there any other questions?
No, now we go back to that.
Yeah, we need to have a vote on the amendment.
Amendment and then vote on the,
Yep. Any other discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of said amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Amendment passes, so now we're back to the original motion. Any further discussion on this ordinance? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 2023-10, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ordinance passes on third reading. Thank you for helping us through that. Next is ordinance 2024-002, annexation of Dead Horse Meadows, first reading.
Make a motion to approve on first reading ordinance 2024-2, annexation of Dead Horse Meadows.
We have a motion,
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion? The only question I have, do we need to clarify any of this acreage? I mean, we can just pass it on first reading and then clarify it
yeah,
throughout the
when you. get-
subsequent readings?
Right.
Okay. Does anyone, so my question was basically, it
Oh, I
has
see, of
two
course.
X's there.
Oh, did I miss filling that out?
That's okay.
Where's it at?
It's
So
in
I
the-
can fix it.
Top right here, Monica.
Uh-huh, I did.
Okay.
What was it, 6 point?
6.17.
Thank you, dear.
That was the only question I had. And this specifically goes
I'll
through.
edit it for the second reading.
Okay. This specifically goes through all the things that the clerk pointed out during our public hearing that we had today at 6. Sorry, you guys missed it. It was riveting, but I think we covered everything. So is there any questions or comments? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 2024-002 on first reading, say aye. Aye. Ordinance passed on first reading.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
I think,
I did.
Thank you. I
Councilman
didn't push the
Bircher.
little button.
Next is Melvin monthly payment schedule revision.
The payment schedule that I provided to you was realized that there was a clerical error with the original 2021 agreement with Melvin's. Processing that agreement with the old ownership of Melvin's, it took quite a bit of time. There was a payment scheduled that was developed, and then by the time it went through town council, that original payment schedule, I guess it got shifted somewhere, but it didn't get attached. So, I realized there was actually two, Jeremy and I worked through it because he was very involved with that, and he said, no, you're right, the wrong one was originally passed. So just for clarification purposes, it really doesn't change the total that they owe us. It's the same amount of payments, it's just in different months that they're lower. So then the document that was physically attached to the original one, so I just wanted your approval, and then I will attach this with a note that it was approved by council, so that moving forward, there's no more confusion.
Thanks
And
for
the
clarifying.
intention from the beginning was essentially to give them a break during the slow season on their rent payments. What was the difference, though, Monica, if you don't mind?
The payments, the lower payments started like in October.
Instead of here's December?
Yeah, so they had the right payments, they were paying the right payments, but I was billing them the incorrect payments because I was billing them per the one that was attached.
Okay,
Okay.
So we just did it so that moving forward, everybody's on the same page.
got it.
Yeah.
So we just are seeking an approval of the new payment schedule?
The corrected,
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion seeking adoption of the corrected payment schedule not previously adopted by town council to be utilized in all future rent/recapture payments from Melvin Brewing.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? This is basically just a clerical cleanup, or, yeah,
It is a legal document, so I want
yeah.
it to come through.
Let's make sure we're legal. Any further discussion? All those in favor of, your motion said, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It said-
Motion seeking adoption of the corrected payment schedule.
Okay. All those in favor of the adoption of the corrected payment schedule to Melvin Brewing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Moving down the list, Resolution 2024-04, Travel and Tourism Board Grant Applications. Has everyone had a chance to read through the applications or look at the ones that were brought forward?
yep.
I think if we could.
So, just for the benefit of the public, in case you didn't look at the packet, so now that we have the Travel and Tourism Board, there is the ability for grants to be given for projects and events within the town of Alpine. As Councilman Castile said when she was reading from Jeremy's, Councilman Larson's, update, he's expecting about 10 applications. He's aware of the ones that the town of Alpine will be submitting for projects. So there's a town of Alpine welcome sign projects. The total cost is not expected to exceed $75,000. The town of Alpine will budget a match of 20% of whatever that ultimate total project becomes. We are still in a bit of a phase where we're still gaining some pricing, and that is for 3 signs.
Yes.
At all entrances into the town. So just so everybody's clear, the 75,000 is max. We will apply for the appropriate amount based on the information we're still gathering for all of these. So then the Town of Alpine Music in the Mountain Summer Series. So when I discussed with last year's head of that, they were thinking that a total of $20,000 would be required. In this, I've assumed the total cost to be 25 because I do know that the Travel and Tourism Board is hoping to see some skin in the game from other organizations or the town, or depending on who the applicant is.
We're looking for sponsors.
Yes, and so, in the case of this, that's why I raised her anticipated 20,000 for this fiscal year, which is, all these are July 1st to June 30th, time periods. So that's why it says you need to determine. I threw in 25, not to exceed, but you need to determine, I think, what you feel the appropriate donor match will be, that we can then edit and plug into the final version of this. So the Town of Alpine Information Center support, this is to allow the Town of Alpine to have an employee over there. Total cost annually with including benefits is over 60,000, but we're assuming the total cost of this application will be max 60,000 with a $12,000 match from the Town of Alpine, or 20%. And then the Town of Alpine Winter Jubilee, they're looking at making some changes to their programming. So they're looking at doing some improvements and getting what they need to provide better snow boxes. And also, they want to see if we can procure what are they called? The lava hot, they were at Lava Hot Springs, the Fire and Ice people, so, performers.
Replace the fireworks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well, and the parade.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the matching?
So, I just went with 20% because that seems to be pretty consistent with other things we've done. It's really not set in stone.
Okay.
All I know is, I've been told that they would prefer to see
Some
that
percentage.
some
of that?
percentage of match, and so that's certainly up to you guys, but I kind of just went with 20% across the board.
Okay.
So, whatever you're comfortable with.
All right. Let's get a motion on the table. Then we can discuss it.
I move to make a motion seeking approval of Resolution 2024-004 Travel and Tourism Board Grant Applications.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion?
So I reached out to Monica, and I will be talking with a few of our staff members who have put forward the Welcome Sign Project and the Winter Jubilee, as well as the Alpine Center support, just to dig into more of that budget. I know that the past administration had the Welcome Sign as a wish project, but obviously we want to make sure things are within budget. So we're going to be having some updates on that.
I
Moving
hadn't seen
forward.
any of the bids yet on the
He
signs.
had asked for 2 conceptual bids. However, the invoice that he sent us in our packet didn't exceed about $2,600 for all 3
Yeah.
signs. It was $916 per sign. So that's why I'd like to gain some clarity on how.
$916 per sign.
Yeah, $916. I don't know how we're now at 75,000.
Well-
I think there were 3 different ones, and
Yeah.
that was one of them.
I also.
Yeah.
I also.
Okay, because I know he asked for A and B, but I
Yeah.
didn't know which one
I
he
think
submitted.
there was a couple different ones that I think.
Okay.
There's also a line item there for tax, we don't get taxed.
Oh. That's nice. to
What?
know. There's a
We
line
don't pay
item.
sales tax.
Yeah.
It said, where's it say tax in here?
That would be his, are you talking about
Oh.
the fast
bid.
signs
Oh,
invoice?
this bid, I'm sorry. So I guess my
you-
comment would be on whatever the $916 per sign. I don't know if that is going to be exactly what we're looking for.
Sufficient.
Yeah. So
Maybe that's concept
I
A.
thought that was concept A,
It might be,
which is
yeah.
9.
Do you have that in your,
Yes.
it was scanned in,
Yeah.
sir?
yeah,
Oh,
but I don't have it up
But it's,
here.
it's not clear whether that's.
No,
concept.
it's not.
It's not clear. No, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my feeling on this is the tourism board is willing to put forth this. I think it would be huge for the town to you know, be able to have nice welcoming sign coming in each way. And they're footing the bill for most of it, so.
That's just the aluminum, right? Yeah. Yeah, I would just like to see it go as fun as many projects as possible. But if the public has any comment, we'd welcome you to come to the tourism board meeting. They'll be going over all of these applications.
Yeah,
Oh, it's to be determined, right? We got an email from him, he said April, but they hadn't set a firm date.
They haven't
Am I
set a firm
remembering that
date.
yeah.
correctly?
So applications are due March 15th? Is that what we
Yes.
decided? Yeah.
Yes.
So this resolution basically is to support, if we said yes to any or all of these, then we'd be putting our support behind them. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you'd like to change the language because clearly there's
Right.
not clarity in the costs,
We could put a not to exceed.
yeah,
Oh,
we
of
could
course.
change that. I mean, and I don't know, are you comfortable with 20%?
This year, me personally,
What's this for next fiscal year?
well, I know, but
Yep.
looking at the budgets. I certainly want the tourism board to be happy with support from the town.
Yeah.
These are just big numbers.
Yeah, going down the list, the music in the mountains was hugely successful, in my opinion, last year, so I'd,
That drove
Lo-
a huge crowd.
yeah, love to see that keep going, and yes, we do want to, try to find sponsors. I would think that, a 20% match from the town, not to exceed 20%, would be adequate, just to make sure that, yeah, they're getting the support that they need from the town as well. But the tourism board is footing the bill for most of it.
Didn't they have $138,000?
Ooh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the tourism board. That's what they were anticipating being able to commit? Do we have a number on?
So I don't know that they've
Okay.
determined what they're gonna commit.
Okay.
I know that they got a significant amount of money that was historical in nature. It was well over $200,000.
Okay.
And that they have collected approximately, without the numbers in front of me, I apologize, $35,000 to $40,000 in taxes since they
Okay.
started sending it to us. So they probably have roughly $250,000.
Okay,
But I don't know that their intention is to spend it all.
right.
Yeah, I don't think they are intending
So-
to spend all that money in the first year. I mean, it's like,
You gotta make it last.
yeah,
Yeah.
make it last over a number of years.
I'm
My
just
guess
thinking
is they'll
if
probably
they-
look at it that for the next several years, so
Right.
much of it.
If
the
they
back.
approve all of this, we have to think about what we would then be committing ourselves to.
Yeah. Well, the information center, we've already committed to that.
Okay.
So it would actually save us. If they give us a grant, it will save the town.
Yes.
The difference.
The remaining.
And the rest, I mean, our welcome signs are rotted. So we're gonna have to do something. I don't know that we have to do it to that pretty level, so that's
Right.
up to you guys.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that one was kind of news to me, so I didn't even realize that was being
Considered.
considered,
That
so,
was an old
yeah.
ask.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think priority.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so do we want to put language in there that says not to exceed? Do you think it's needed? How does the council feel?
Yeah, I think we could put not to exceed on any of these, but to me, where would you put that on each one? Say not to exceed? Do you also want to change the
Well,
number on
the
the
way
welcome
it's,
sign?
you know, in retrospect, the way it's written, it can't be over that.
Okay,
The max we can ask for is what's on
Is
this.
what's on here.
On here. The only correction that needs to be made, though, is the ask. I probably did this incorrectly. The ask for the Alpine Music in the Mountain Summer Series was 20,000.
okay,
And so it really should be then a $4,000 match, 20%, Town of Alpine, which makes the actual grant request 16.
okay.
Okay, so that's the only amendment that'll have to be made.
Wait, say that again. So make the
So
the
Town of
total on
Alpine
25.
Music in the Mountain Summer Series, the total cost will be $20,000. Donations, we're just gonna make that Town of Alpine match. So we're gonna do Town of Alpine match.
Okay.
Up to $4,000.
20%, $4,000, 20%.
Okay. Yeah, it's my understanding that that coordinator is gonna do their very best to drum up sponsors.
Oh,
with that.
absolutely. They did
She's
good
a
last
smart
year.
person.
They did
So
good last year.
it's-
Well, but they're not alone in it. They have a committee. And so the town, even this, it's a town event. We can be helpful.
Yeah,
I think we can
agree.
do some letters and be helpful. Yeah. We'll work on it together.
yes.
I think we're kind of lockstep on 2 through 4 as just number 1. I think we need to decide what sort of push we want to make for that.
I certainly don't want to discredit, I know that the two people that have worked really hard on this, and I'd love to be a part of the process. That just seems 25K per sign at this point in time. If we didn't have any other projects to fund or
Yeah.
large budget draws. I'd just like to know everybody else's
Yeah.
thoughts. Yeah. Agreed. I think we could find something really nice. I know in speaking with Melody, she said it was the stonework for the signs that had been considered in the past, and that's very expensive now. So obviously we want something that can sustain snow load and wind.
I'm sorry, can you come to
Would you
the,
like to come?
because
up?
nobody at home can hear you unless you
They
do.
wanna-
No, you're fine.
They want to hear you,
Just
Jared.
press that.
Yeah, we want to hear you.
Do, yeah, I'm interesting.
Thank you.
So the town would, if they had certain projects that they felt that the community had an interest in, they would ask community members if there was somebody who wanted to donate whatever their trade
So-
was.
Oh, that's okay.
And we'll put a
That's
plaque
actually a
up
good
here
idea,
and
yes.
say so-and-so put the rocks up
Right.
for
Yep.
our fancy $7,000 sign.
Yeah.
And we got quite a few responses for doing that.
Wow.
That's good to know.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
had
you.
me at 7,000.
Can you pull up that document again, just so I can see the bids that came in?
Yes.
Because if we could
So
consider.
here's the fast signs. Is that the one that you
Yeah.
wanted to take a look at?
Because it
Yes.
really doesn't have, I don't think, enough information on it. Because
No, when I looked at the reference number, I couldn't find any conceptual reference.
Yeah, because there's like 4 different examples with varying
Yeah.
rock
Can you
and,
just-
or no rock.
There you go.
So I think we need more.
Just more
Information.
clarification. Agreed.
Well, and honestly, when I read through this, it doesn't look like they actually got quotes. They requested quotes on
Yes.
concept A and D. They can only ask for 2
At no charge.
at no charge. And so that's what, and if they had gotten prices, we would have received them for this meeting.
Yeah, so I guess I'm unclear.
But it sounds like concept C is assumed to be the most expensive.
So that's probably what they're listing.
So-
The 75 is probably based on the most expensive one.
Was it 7,500 per sign was the most expensive one?
He said 15 to 20,000 each for the most
And I rounded up.
expensive. He said the basic sign would cost around $6,000. I've included an estimate, this must be what we're looking at from Fast Signs, for the 4x8 aluminum signs. That quote does not include posts. I have estimated the costs of posts and labor that it would cost to install all 3 signs. But of course, that's not taking into account, I know we have a lot of very talented community members.
Yeah, I like the idea of seeing if somebody will donate.
I
That's
do.
Yeah.
fancy.
What if,
Or even just reached out
Yeah.
for labor would be huge.
yeah,
Yeah, anything.
if we can get, let's just say, I mean, I love the signs and the ones that are posted on there, we'd be more than happy to, have, so maybe instead of 75,000, could I suggest that we make that 25,000 or something in that range? And that would cover 3 new signs of the most expensive one that was bid, it
Right,
sounds like.
right.
So we make it up to $75,000 and, we would be, I don't know how we word the in-kind, or the town will give the 20% and we'll also look for in-kind donations.
We could put it that we'll do in kind, or the town will do it. We can draft the application that way,
Okay,
that we will seek in-kind donations up to this amount, and any difference up to 20% the town will put in. We can draft the application that way.
So you're
yeah.
saying keep the total cost at 75,000?
no,
Oh.
move it to 25,000.
Yes.
And then say, 20% is the maximum basically that
Okay.
the town will give it. And we would also look for in-kind donations from the community that would bring the overall cost down.
I love that idea. Okay.
All right, now we just need to amend this.
Frank?
I'm not doing this.
You did such a
my pay
great
grade.
job last time.
Apparently it's above my pay grade.
Do we have an amendment to the resolution?
Motion to amend Resolution 2024-004, Travel and Tourism Board Grant Applications.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded, although we didn't state what the motion or the amendment was.
Because it's a lot.
Okay, so let me help you.
Well, hold on one second. Jim, what do we need to do here? We need to state it, or is there a way we can work through it?
Well, I guess here, I'm confused as far as, we don't know what the costs are, we don't know what the specific things are. Honestly, my suggestion is to set it back to committee and have them
Okay,
The
clarify.
information.
The
and
problem is-
do anything.
The application has to be made before the next meeting.
That's the reason why we're doing this now.
We could have a special meeting when we do our work session and approve it.
We could
Because
put it
that would
on
be
a-
before.
Would that be enough time? I just don't know the
I'm
amount of information, and
I mean, we
trying to
could.
second guess.
What is our work session day? No, I agree. I think that's
It's
valid.
what's the first
The
Tuesday in
It's the 5th.
5th? I agree. I mean, it would be nice to get this dialed in a little bit more and, just get some more information before we,
So I need to call a special meeting on the 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great idea.
okay. So, will you, rescind your,
I would like to rescind my motion to amend Resolution 2024-004, Travel and Tourism Board Grant Applications.
Okay, and then let's just put it on the table.
yeah,
Do we make a motion?
do we have to make a motion to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to table this until the next work session? Or
Make a motion to table the approval of Resolution 2024-4, Travel and Tourism Board Grant Applications until our work session,
special meetings?
special meeting, March 5th, 2024.
Thank you. We have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of tabling resolution 2024-004, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's been tabled. Okay, moving down the list.
Jobs, right? Resolution 2024-005.
Here we go. Yeah, next on the list is the Hafiz edition.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Mine's on the
Isn't it?
bottom.
I'm
it's the
sorry.
flop grant.
It's the flop grant.
Dang it, sorry. Skipped ahead.
You're just skipping stuff.
Rushing the
First time
meeting.
for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. It's after
It's not that.
the audit quote.
Here we go, sorry.
Right?
Yep, so it's resolution 2024-005. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2024-5, the flap grant application.
We have a motion?
Second.
It's been seconded. Any discussion?
As a resident that lives off Grays River Road, I think this is a great application.
Please.
Highly in favor of it.
Yeah.
It looks like you're drunk driving down the road to avoid all the potholes.
Oh my gosh,
There's
it's
some
bad.
bombers in there, man.
Yeah, it's bad. This would be probably one of the biggest things we could do to benefit the town of Alpine. And if the federal government is willing to pay 100% of it, I think this is money well spent to try to go get that money. So,
So the decisions we'll make on it is just clarification as far as working with the Forest Service and maintenance.
We'll have to do that before we submit.
And then we're only responsible for the chip and seal on the parking lot. Should we extend the paving that way?
No, so we'll be responsible for the pavement.
the maintenance of the pavement
Pavement.
going forward
Okay.
from here until
So we
the
just-
next 40 years,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to clarify, though, that we will not be responsible for snow
Snow
removal and all that other stuff, and as long as that's true, we will probably proceed. But we will be 100% responsible for Grays River Road, which we are now.
Okay.
So that doesn't change.
So it's the
Yes.
same.
As a side note, town council, I think we should consider putting language in that we do not want to be tearing up this brand-new road if and when this happens and we need to make it a requirement that if you're going to, it has to be tunneled under if you've got to put any utilities in or whatever. That's how these roads get torn up, and,
Okay.
I mean,
It
I
does.
think we should consider that in the future.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tunneling under this fancy new road, see if we can make it last, just as long as the first one. So
Agreed.
anyways,
That's a great suggestion.
any other comments on this resolution? All those in favor of resolution 2024-5, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So we'll get Haley going on that.
Yeah, and Christine will do whatever we can do to keep that
Yeah.
dollar amount down.
I appreciate that.
Monica, moving on to the single audit.
Yes.
Can you explain that, please?
So in this fiscal year, which ends June 30th, 2024, the town of Alpine has spent in excess of $750,000 in federal funds, which is through our grants that we have for pretreatment. And so due to that expenditure, we're required by Wyoming state statute and the federal government to complete a single audit. So I got a proposal to do so. The fee for the single audit is $22,500. There is a an additional not to exceed amount of $5,000 for additional work, some travel, and so. And also, so there's another copying and things like that, that's not to exceed $1,000. So that's pretty standard in the single audit world.
And just to clarify, this $750,000 was basically money, grant money
The
for the
federal-
pre-treatment plant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, the grant money. So they need to make sure that we spend it in compliance with the federal grant requirements.
Okay,
So the single audit probably won't happen till September of October of this year. So it's well after we go through our end of year F-66. They won't come in until close to the end of the year and complete that audit.
okay.
And you'll get a full audit report when it's done.
But we just need a budget for it, and town council needs to approve it.
Approve the agreement, so I can submit it back and get on his schedule, and then, yes, it'll be in the budget.
Did you already mention, Monica, that we had very limited choices? I just want to help
Yeah,
us
there is very
understand that
limited
amount.
choices in the state of Wyoming to get this kind of work done. There's one other person that can do it, and if I recall correctly, he was non-responsive. The first time, I did not reach out to him this time. This gentleman gave town council a proposal last year because Sharon thought that because we received a grant in excess of $750, that a single audit would need to be done, but it has to be spent. It has to be money spent.
Okay.
And so the money's been spent now.
We spent it,
We
we did
spent it.
last year, so now we have to.
We spent it,
Yeah.
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay, makes sense. I don't think we have any other options, so, I would entertain a motion to hire Decoria and Company PC Certified Public Accountants to do the single audit for fiscal year 2024-25.
So moved.
I was just gonna say it like.
That was so easy.
I'm trying to do that on purpose. I have a motion,
Thanks
it's
for
been,
picking up.
I have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? Let's clarify that. Is it
It's
for,
for fiscal year 2024, ending June 30th, 2024,
it's for this fiscal year?
the one we're in.
It's,
Yes, sir.
but when does it take place?
The actual audit will happen in October of this year, 2024.
And we need to pay for it right now.
No, we're not paying for it.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, it'll be paid for after it happens,
Out of what fiscal year?
2025.
Right, and that's
Okay.
what my motion said, that it's
Be paid for in 2025.
correct.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor of hiring Decoria and Company PC Certified Public Accountants for the single audit, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving down the list. Now we've got to Hafiz, it looks like.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is,
Right there.
Madam Clerk, do we have all the documentation in order here? Let's see, this is our recommendation for replat from
Yeah.
Planning and Zoning. We've got the replat documentation.
Yeah, that's our application.
Okay, we've got the application.
And then you just have their legal notice as well
Okay,
for that.
we've got the legal.
You also
notice.
have attached Christine's zoning report, her staff report on it,
There's the staff report, okay.
and then the resolution.
Here's the resolution. All right, we should get that on the table.
Make a motion seeking approval of resolution 2024-6, Hafiz Edition, simple replat to be effective February 22nd, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? Just to clarify, all the all the dates are in order. Madam Clerk, we've hit all the
Notice
the
dates.
notices and everything of that nature, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Christine took care of all that. It being that it's a simple, no hearing is required, it just goes through normal meetings. The only abnormality in this is that normally we don't set an effective day after the motion.
Yeah.
However, we were waiting on an updated map for the HIFIS annexation to include the Silver Star property. And so I could not publish or post the annexation to start the time frame of 10 days that it's required to be published before an ordinance takes effect. So that is the reason for the effective date. We want that ordinance to be effective, and then for the replat to be effective.
We've received the new map.
It's all done.
Okay.
It's, yeah. So on the 21st of February, the ordinance will be effective. So on the 22nd, the replat of the property will be effective.
Okay.
If you so pass this.
Okay.
Sounds good. Any questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of Resolution 2024-6, Resolution HIFIS Edition Simple Replat to be effective February 22nd, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution passes. Next up, we have some of the recommendations from planning and zoning. I would like to just kind of go through these quickly, if you don't mind, Mr. Scow, but I'm more than happy to, listen to these and follow up on your recommendations, so go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Where this came about, we had 3 building applications come through, and 2/3 of them, in my judgment, are encroaching on their setbacks. So I reviewed, the board reviewed, we went through the LUDCs. There is no language in our LUDCs that says you can't develop on your setbacks.
Okay.
That's why this is here. It defines, the language here defines a building envelope, which that's where you're going. That's where you're gonna develop. No development can happen in a setback unless you ask for a variance.
Okay.
That's the cut and dry paste, short version.
Can you give us an example of where, say, a property owner built on their setback and potentially that hindered their neighbor or something from
All right, so a lot
developing?
of it really is, I mean, in the letter that you have in your packet, basically describes the safety pieces, snow, and the distance between neighbors. It's really there as a buffer, and I don't know any other community that I've ever built in that doesn't have language like this in their planning and building codes. It's just not there. We need to apply it. And so that's why we came up with language. And I can read it. It's specifically put in R1, R2, and MRC in certain pages to add to those areas.
Okay.
And it's not a very tough thing to do, but we are recommending that you guys approve that.
If I'm not mistaken, we would have to do 3 readings of the ordinance.
And I think it just needs to go in the definitions section. And then it needs to have adjectives removed like crazy. I'm sorry. We don't put adjectives in laws.
Well,
Or adverbs.
so this is, you know, I've looked at 3 different
Safety from
communities.
possible traffic accidents flying into your property.
I think-
I'm just, you know, it's,
Yeah.
it's basically taken out of every other code that
Well,
I've worked in. So, I mean, we can take it out, And you can scratch it out, you're voting for it. We need you to define that a setback is a non-area where you can develop.
So why don't we just have that as a, because I see proposed placement, am I to understand that this red is the language that you're suggesting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what, can we just put it in the definition section and just put setback as an area where you do not build upon?
Or it's the very last sentence.
No development
You say no development in your established setback.
is allowed.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's all we need if that's what you're suggesting.
Why weren't you with the meeting?
We only have him, we only pay him enough to come to 2 meetings a month.
Are you comfortable with that?
I am. I think it's important that we define what a building envelope is.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And so there is some language there. We could, I just think that if 60% of the things that we're seeing coming across our table has these issues to it, I think it's a greater problem, because I don't feel comfortable giving a building, a permit to somebody to a conforming lot and making it non-conforming.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that's the critical, I think the legal language.
We can handle the legal language.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, when you put something in the statute and you have a dispute over it, you've got to define and find evidence on all of those words.
I respect that. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, and
And
so.
I'm a builder, not a lawyer.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, and I know what you're trying to say here, and maybe it could be saved within the footnotes or whatever.
Okay.
But you just a simple definition that says, this is what a setback is, and you don't build in it.
Yeah, I think just clarify that for sure. So let's work on updating that. Maybe you guys could hammer through that.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to take any action.
You don't need to do anything.
Okay, while we've got you, let's just go right into the energy code.
Correct. So as I spoke before, the energy code is just, it's about development and design, and how we create energy sufficiency in older buildings and
Right.
newer products. We have so many older homes here that I think it's really an important piece moving into energy savings and trying to do the best we can. Energy costs aren't going down, they're only getting higher. So I think it would be well received in the community that we're doing that, because it is really about energy and conserving and keeping the lights on.
So Dan, does this clarify, what would we actually be changing? Isn't this part of the IBC or is it not?
It's not.
Okay.
It's its own code, like the fire code,
Okay.
like any of those. It's just the adoption of the 2021 energy code.
Okay.
There was a repeat, provisions that do not unnecessarily increase construction costs, provisions that do not unnecessarily
Right, I mean,
increase.
it may increase, it may decrease. Depending upon what kind of structure that you're dealing with.
Right. Oh, I didn't have a problem with that. There's a double line. It's just mentioned twice, but I did appreciate taking into account costs.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see what you,
Yeah, do you see it?
I see it now.
Going crazy? Okay.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I think this is definitely something that it's good for you to bring up, and we should discuss it further
Okay.
when the time is right. Okay, and so then, is that the last one for you?
We did
Oh,
vote on.
fees, yes.
So, we approved it as a board unanimously. We think it's a great thing for our community. They've proven that they are gonna do something that will, that there's a need for, so we approved it. And I also want to recognize our chairperson, Melissa Wilson. Okay, I failed to do that before, Melissa stepped up to be the chair, and Sue Colbass is our, she's our vice chair, and I'm just a regular dude.
Is that what your title is?
The regular dude.
Regular dude, all right. And you guys had discussed fees,
We
building
did.
fees?
We
Okay.
discussed it,
Okay.
and we've gone through, and we're chewing on it.
Yes.
But the next meeting, you will be having a few more recommendations from us.
Okay.
I think it's time that we do that.
Okay, that'd be great. And then if we can pull them all together and then we could decide what we're gonna do all at once, make those changes.
That
We
sounds wonderful.
just updated the land use development code, so,
Christine's real happy.
why not do it again, I guess?
Well, I mean, she sees it, she understands it, so it's not like it's frivolous. She gets that piece, so.
Well, I think you guys are doing a great job bringing this forward, so thank you for that, and we definitely encourage you to keep bringing things forward that you want us to look at, so.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, regular.
Regular dude.
Regular dude.
Next on the agenda here is Resolution 2024-7, Town of Alpine Financial Policy and Procedure. Madam Clerk, can you explain where this came from?
So,
What was the driving force for this?
wow. So we recently converted to a new accounting software, something that we've been working towards since, I don't know, before budget, when we were talking about budget last year, so it's been a year and so finally we've got the new accounting system, we've converted, and so now we really understand that we have the tools that we need, that we need to now implement the policies and procedures that make those tools effective. And so, we also have a situation where it seems like everything's an emergency, so we're just trying to smooth that out. So we're gonna put some requirements on when bills from vendors need to be submitted, when that information needs to be into the town so that it can be paid at the next town council meeting. If it doesn't meet that deadline, then it's not gonna be paid until the following month. And the main driving force for that is that Wyoming state statute requires that the town council approves every payment. And so if you're paying bills throughout the month, then town council is not approving every payment.
Right.
So we're working towards being compliant with state statute, so.
And basically, run us through, just in general, so we get it on the record, that what vendors will have to do to get paid from the town of Alpine.
So we're gonna, our goal to implement in the office is it'll be effective April 1st. So beginning on April 1st, if your bill isn't here by March 31st, it will not be paid at the April meeting. So in order to be paid at that meeting that's held on the third Tuesday of the month, it must be here by the last day of the previous month. If it gets here on the first and second, unfortunately, it's going to get paid in May.
Another month.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, which sounds like we're being slow and inefficient, but we're just trying to be compliant. So we want we want everything to come to council in the appropriate way, and we want to have them time. So some other things that we're doing is council has volunteered, somebody will come in every month. So after all those invoices are entered, they are going to be reviewed and signed by every department head who's responsible for those departments. So part of that job is to make sure, is it being booked to the appropriate journal number? Is this correct? Are we being charged sales tax when we're a government? We shouldn't be charged sales tax. So those kind of things will be done, and then one of the town council members, upon our review of those bills after the end of the month, one of the town council members will come in and they will do, again, another review of all the bills. And honestly, Andrea did some of it today and she found a mistake that we all missed. So it's going to be very helpful. It's going to just help us slow down and make sure that everything's right before it goes to you guys.
Yep. And it's going to avoid that last minute, the day
Rush.
of getting a bill the day before the meeting and coming in and getting approved. Like, we can't work like that.
Well, yeah, we were paying bills right up until the day of the meeting, which means I couldn't provide them with the bills to pay report in their packets. So, starting April, every packet will always have a bills to pay report in it. It'll always have a financial report in it because the previous month will be closed out. So it's gonna be really, we're going to the next level with that, so I'm excited.
Yep.
So, really excited.
And all vendors need to email their invoices to. what is
Now,
the-
there's a new email address, it's payables@alpinewy.gov.
Payables, so all of the checks that we're paying, we're gonna have something stuffed in there that has that address on it.
Yes.
And so they know going
There'll be a
forward-
notice with
Yeah,
all of
okay.
this for them.
That's
Yeah.
great. Any questions regarding this?
I think it's really well thought out.
Yeah.
I think you've thought of everything. And there's
So-
a lot more checks and balances.
And while it says that, the resolution says it is the Alpine Financial Policy and Procedure manual, it is 1.25 page. However, this is the foundational document that, as we move forward, the goal is about once every 2 months to make sure that we adopt another sound financial policy. And in a year or two from now, we'll have all of that done and they'll be very consistent. I mean, the goal is that if I'm not here, somebody should be able to pick up a book and say, this is what needs to be done.
Yeah, this is the.
Yeah.
policy. All right, do we have a motion?
Motion seeking approval of resolution 2024-7, the Town of Alpine Financial Policy and Procedure Manual.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? Great job, Monica. Applaud you for doing this. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution 2024-7, Town of Alpine Financial Policy and Procedure Manual, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, keep moving forward here. Ordinance, this is the annexation ordinance.
Yes.
Let's see. Monica, what are we looking at here?
Hold on, I'm opening it. I don't have the back of my document, so if I printed it, I didn't get it off the printer. Okay, so, ordinance 2024-001 is an ordinance that's providing for a uniform process, for reviewing petitions for annexation filed with the town of Alpine. So we already comply with state statute on annexations. However, this is taking it to, adding some additional steps through the process. So this is the first draft, and things that are being added are fees. Well, just to start from there, so there will be a requirement of a petition submittal requirement. There will be a fee for the petition submittal meeting. There will be fees for, the process of filing the petition. All of this is, again, not because the town of Alpine wishes to feed people to death, but it's because annexations take up a huge amount of staff's time. There is a lot of very strict statutory requirements that require us to drop our work, whatever we're doing, and make sure that we comply with this. And again, that's what we want to do. But our goal is we're growing rapidly, but we still have a very small office. And to be able to juggle multiple, in which we have been doing multiple annexations, it really it really becomes difficult with all the other responsibilities that we all do. So this ordinance is to push some of the financial responsibility back to the petitioner and some of the actual responsibilities back to the petitioner. We also have we have a lot of engineering costs associated with
Yes.
these last two annexations. It's not a complaint, it's just fact. And so the goal is that those costs need to be covered. The current residents of the town of Alpine should not be in any way paying for new annexations into the town of Alpine, and so that's our goal, is to make sure that the petitioning party is actually bearing that financial responsibility.
We have a committee of, how many people do we have on our committee?
Quite a few.
Probably 5 or 6 at least, that have met a couple of times,
7,
and
8,
we've really leaned
10.
on Jorgensen and a couple of their staff to help us with this. And so we brought forward kind of our wants, and Mr. Sanderson put it into this format. And I think for a first draft, I think this is great. We need to probably hammer down on some of the specifics in the second and third readings, but
Yeah, I think the committee needs to meet again to go over those details and,
Yep.
and then tweak it. But it's so much easier to do that once a document's been written than to
Yeah.
try to come up with it when you have
Yep.
nothing. So I think we're going to be more effective the next committee meeting we have, so.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes.
add? I mean, aside from the fees and whatnot, it also provides for basically a rules of application requiring the applicants to provide a clear and concise statement of all of the findings that we have to make, including their evidence on the findings. And they can't just come in here and say, well, it's going to be a great benefit to the town of Alpine. You, all right, provide us the evidence it's going to be, or it's a
Yeah.
win-win, or you're going to get so much revenue. Well, the moment you say, I want this to the public, the moment you say you're bringing revenue into the town of Alpine, you better have some evidence to back it. So there'd be no more dog and pony shows.
Yes.
it's also lays out in here that when you do annex into the town, we get to see a sketch plan of what you're bringing in, what your intention is. So I think it answers a lot of the questions that we as a town council have. Why do you really want to come into the town? What is your plan? And so I think that helps quite a bit. Anything else you wanted to add, Mr. Sanderson?
No.
Okay. Any questions from town council regarding this new ordinance? Any comments?
It's been a labor of love, so.
Yes. We've put many hours into it,
Very
and as you can
excited
tell,
about
it's an ordinance that's however many pages here, but I think it's well-written, and we'll just make a few additions, changes throughout this process. But if there is no further discussion, we should get it on the table if it isn't already.
Make a motion to seeking approval on first reading of ordinance 2024-1, annex ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of ordinance number 2024-01, annexation ordinance on first reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And no one opposed. So, ordinance passed on first reading, so. All right, moving on to, let me just get rid of that. Next, we're going to have a public comment period, and before we get started, I just wanted to read something real quick, and we're gonna read this before all public comments periods going forward. Public comment is an opportunity to discuss topics that relate to the town of Alpine. Anyone wishing to make a comment must come to the podium and state your name. All comments will be directed to the mayor and must be voiced with respect, and any foul language Any foul or derogatory language will not be allowed and may result in expulsion from the meeting. With that being said, we're more than happy to take public comment from anyone that's here. And all public comments will be limited to 5 minutes.
Hi, my name's Calvin Ravi, and I'd like to make a public comment first.
Sounds good. You're on the clock.
Okay, I'm on the clock. Excellent.
5 minutes.
I've spent a lot of time talking to Monica this week, but I would just like to get some things cleared up. First of all, Mr. Sanderson's title on the website, it's deceiving, and it's listed as being only the prosecuting attorney. He's clearly not prosecuting anyone right now. He's clearly the full-time town attorney. This information should be updated.
Good point.
Onto the website, because when my attorneys looked at that, they said, oh, well, if he's only the prosecuting attorney.
Said that, so.
Why is he addressing me? I thought that you said a moment ago that you would be the only one that was addressing me.
You can talk to me directly.
Well, okay, should Mr. Sanderson be addressing me or not addressing me at this point in time?
He apologized. He won't address you anymore.
He'll remain quiet for the
Yes.
remainder of, okay. Because at this point, I also would like a public comment about the, so that's going to be updated.
We will take that under advisement.
You'll take that under advisement. Okay, I'll keep awareness of that.
Okay.
So also, Mr. Sanderson's involvement in the Steve Tully lawsuit is something that I've been told that you have seen copies of and you are aware of this? That's a question.
I don't have to respond. Are you still making your comment?
I called Monica this week and I asked, is the town aware? And she is here shaking her head, verifying that she told me that the town council was aware of Mr. Sanderson's involvement with the lawsuit happening at the top of the hill. So you are aware of that? Monica made a statement to me this week on the phone that was pertaining to the fact that you are aware that Mr. Sanderson has taken a case at the top of the hill for a private client while also defending the town of Alpine. Are you aware of that?
I don't need to respond to your comment. Are you still making a public comment, or are you done?
You don't respond during public comment?
No,
Because
do not.
you said a moment ago that your comments would be responded to and that you would be the one responding to them. So I'm asking now, or I can keep calling all week, it's no problem.
Keep talking. It's your 5 minutes.
Okay, well, I was kind of trying to address the council and have some answers, questions.
This is your
but
public comment period, and you have 2 minutes.
You're being very obstinate to my questions, and you're making it very hard for me to communicate, so all of this will be noted. My public comment will continue that, is any of the town council members aware of Mr. Sanderson's previous alcohol problems in this county? No, I didn't think so. I actually sent this to Monica smile great big, sent this to Monica to make you aware, but I'm going to go ahead and read some of this. It's an article, and it's from Kemmer, and the title of the article is Lincoln County Deputy Prosecutor Accused of DUI. A Lincoln County prosecutor has been charged with drunk driving after his car missed a curve, plowed through 2 fences, and struck a parked car. Absurdly unacceptable drunk behavior. The article goes on to say that it was a Thursday morning and the motorist observed a vehicle traveling through Grosvenor on US 89 at a very high rate of speed, and moments later he saw the vehicle had crashed into a parked truck in a field, according to the charging document. The witness told the deputies he recognized the driver of the wrecked car as Mr. Sanderson. When he spoke to him about the crash site, Sanderson told him not to tell anyone about the crash. Deputy Shane Johnson, which ironically happens to be our sheriff at this moment in time, responded and found a black Volvo station ladder, later identified as being Sanderson's. The vehicle had extensive damage to the front end and smashed windshield, Gardner wrote. The deputies searched for about 45 minutes before finding Sanderson lying in the snow in 29-degree weather alongside US 89 from the south side of the Grosvenor town limits. Quote, he was lying on his back, and as I approached him, he was snoring loudly.
You have 1 minute left, just so you know.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yep.
After walking in, deputies found he had a strong odor of alcohol coming from his person, and his speech was very slurred. He could not stand up on his own and required our assistance. Now, I also have been watching all the videos that you have been having posting online, and I also see that you recently had some school. You're trying to create a school an elementary school of some type, you're trying to bring more schools to the area. And while you're trying to bring more schools to the area, you're also currently employing a man who drove so wasted out on the road that he could have hit a whole goddamn school bus and killed all of them. I'm sorry for using coarse language. Oh, and Mr. Sanderson, you asked me to be a gentleman when you spoke to my attorneys. They didn't get a chance to deny that request before you tried to weasel out of the case that you pressed against me. But I want to ask, is this gentlemanly behavior? What's more gentlemanly, using coarse language with your government or getting in a car so fucking piss wasted that you could have killed
Mr. Rogers,
anyone that
your-
you fucking saw?
Your time's up. Thank you for coming, and we will not accept language like that going forward.
Oh, okay, well, if that's a problem, if you seek to restrict my First Amendment rights in any way, Eric, that's going to be a problem.
You can call me Mr. Mayor.
Eric, that's going to be a problem. Eric, Jimbo, Jimmy, and the rest of you, I don't have any problem with you.
Okay, so that's the end of your public comment period? Do you?
Okay. No, it's going to be recorded, so.
It's obviously recorded, but that's the end of your public comment.
To the rest of the people here, this man has a ridiculous.
That's the end of your public comment. Thank you. You can sit down, please.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to make a public comment? Ms. Scafidi, please.
I just have to apologize. I had a late work appointment. So I just wanted to confirm, and I tried to listen in the car on YouTube, any questions about the grant application for music, or are we good to go?
So,
They did not.
we
pass the
tabled it.
resolution.
Oh, okay.
We
So
tabled
I
it-
didn't know if you were, I heard that portion. So
Yeah.
you're tabling it all to March 5th.
Yes,
Okay, then perfect. Then if
Yeah.
I need to rework anything on the application, I will.
that would be great. And actually, just to clarify, we tabled any information that we're going to gather in that period of time.
Okay.
So we may have more questions for you, or,
Okay.
I mean, do we have specific data on the number of,
So just real quick, I'm waiting,
can you hold 1 second,
That's okay.
please? Mr. Sanderson, would you take it outside, please?
Okay. Okay.
Unacceptable behavior.
So I am working on a budget. So I guess what I'll say is over the next 2 weeks, I'm trying to dial in all the band budgets, sound budget, and I'm trying to think of what my other, rental, sound equipment rental.
Awesome.
So all that will be budgeted, and I can get a better spreadsheet to attach to the grant application.
Awesome, because,
Okay.
because they're gonna pass the resolution, so if we can have
Yes.
all that wrapped up by then, and then that gives us about 10 days to make the application.
Okay, perfect. I
Perfect.
just want to
Thank
make
you,
sure.
Shay.
Thanks,
Apologies.
Thank you,
Shay.
thank you.
And we are going to keep working on sponsors and all that stuff, yeah.
absolutely.
And two, I wanted to make sure when you look at that, Shay,
Yeah.
because you are gonna have expenses next year, so we're gonna kind of have, it's wonky, because
Because the way that the year
Because
ends.
their year is July 1st to June 30th, which is the same as ours, and that's why they did it.
Okay.
However, for an event such as yours, you may have some expenses that happen in May.
Yes.
In June, clearly you may have an event in June, and then into July and August. So we need to find a way for this
cover both
application to
fiscal
cover
years.
the
Okay.
rest of this year, and then part of next year, and then moving forward, it should be simpler for everybody.
Or
I
we
hope.
start July 1, but probably.
But
see
yeah,
how that goes.
but your year actually, I'm thinking, you might need to pay some sound people, reserve
Ahead
some
of
Well,
bands
that's the
early on.
problem, the deposits and stuff
Yeah,
would be
so,
necessary.
so we'll try to
Okay.
work through that.
And I'll
So-
dial in dates and all that, so perhaps if we do start after July 1, we actually might follow the fiscal year as I plan out
Okay,
dates.
Okay.
So June the weather's a little wonky, so we.
Yeah.
and
Don't-
it can be.
Yeah,
It can be.
exactly. We don't want snow and music.
Unpredictable.
So, okay.
Thanks, Shay,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Does anyone else have a public comment? Yes.
I just have a
Ms.
question
Wilson.
for
Yes.
Miss Emily. I noticed recently, I assume it's just because of the annex stuff that was going through, when there was some annexing stuff that they were talking about pushing through, and there was a vote, you'd voted no a few times, and I didn't know why. It just says, when he does the motion, and you would say no, and I was just curious on why that was.
Yes, that's
I
probably
assume
because
it was just
didn't
because of the annexation
clarify.
paperwork. Yeah.
Yes, I really wanted especially large subdivisions that were coming in to follow a more comprehensive plan.
That makes sense.
I also had some reservations about our current infrastructure. So until we start making some improvements, I just had,
No, that totally makes sense. I've been meaning to ask you, but I don't ever get to see anybody, so.
and you can ask me anything
Perfect.
on
Yeah,
here.
and honestly, read that, new annexation order. That's
I
really,
put a note on-
that's in response to a lot
People have
of
given me more
those.
homework than I've gotten.
Yeah, and it's gonna also give planning and
It's
zoning
wicked
more
fun.
work to
I'm
do.
enjoying it. Thank you so
Sorry.
much.
Yeah,
And all of your feedback, we want to take into account. of
Yeah.
course,
Oh,
so
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Please do give us suggestions.
Thank you.
and you know, you mentioned about the water and sewer infrastructure.
Just the
There's been some, yeah, well, but there's been some conversations recently with Kevin, and it came to the mayor and I's awareness, and I let Kevin know today, about MAP. Do you-
yes,
So, do you mind explaining to them what additional they can do?
Yeah,
Real
so
quick?
Midwest Assistance Program.
Yes,
So what they can do is they can help us with the GIS. So every manhole, every meter pit, every well house, they're going to map that and have a GIS number to it.
Okay.
So we know exactly where it's at, and then they're going to connect the lines. So they're going to give us a map of that. And then that map can also go online. So it'll be a live document. So anytime you get an annexation or another building or another infrastructure that comes in, it can be added to it. So it's basically a living document that keeps
Right.
getting better. And then it can also be put on your phone or a pad. So when you're out there looking for it, your
Right.
phone knows where you're at. It can tell you where it's at and tell you what the infrastructure is there. And then it can also go through and say, when was the last time it was serviced? When was the last time it was had an issue? What it is. So there's a lot of data that you can do with that. So what Midwest Assistance Program is doing, they can do that for free because they can get the grants from the feds. So it's a free service to y'all. So not only are they going to do the water and sewer rates study that they thought they would get done in the next 3 months, and the GIS system, which they thought they would be done this summer. So it should help us a lot
One
on
of the other
all the engineering.
things that I reached out to Lee during this conversation today was we realized recently that the master plan water process, although in my training I was told that it would address the lead rule, it will not address the lead rule. We have a requirement to have a report in about how many lead services and that are in our system by October, correct?
Yes.
And so they can also take care of that at the
Yeah.
same time for free.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
thank you.
Yeah, so-
Appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
thank you, Kevin.
Okay, Kevin. Any other
So, yeah.
further public comment? Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually didn't plan on saying anything else, but it really concerns me, Mr. Sanderson, that you would take on 2 clients. Brother, you represent 1,500 people in the town of Alpine, and you can't find somebody else to work for that's not within the city limits, buddy?
Okay.
That, if it looks horrible, it's fucking horrible.
Miss,
The
we're not
town
gonna
of-
take
the-
language like that. That's your first warning.
The highest court in the land did not have a code of ethics until less than a year ago. Do you know what the first thing they adopted, Mr. Sanderson, was? It wasn't don't break the law, don't bend the law, don't take gifts. It was if it casts a bad light on the court through your actions, whether inappropriate or not, it casts a bad light on the court.
Amen.
If that's what you did, that's pathetic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other public comment? This has been really fun. Yeah, no more further public comment, but I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
They're fighting over the second. We have a motion that's been seconded. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, everyone's excused.
Can't unmute me, just remember that.
Yes.
So,
Which one?
You didn't give me your number, you were scared, you gave it to my buddy.
I don't know. All I have to say is that every day
Yeah,
meeting.
that would be at the end of the day sort of
Out of
thing,
there
yeah, we
before
gotta
9
make
o'clock.
sure. Yeah,
There you go.
thank you.
There you go. It's gonna get everybody.
Bye, Mo.
I feel like if it's gonna get us out of here before 9 o'clock, he should come to every meeting.
Government tyrants that tried to limit my freedom of speech. How would you treat me if you didn't know nothing? What worth more money than you're gonna make me your fucking life? Yeah, like shit. That's how you would have treated me. Like shit.
Appreciate you coming though.
Fancy fucking special lawyer, and you think that people only fucking deserve a chance to have money. And if you didn't tell me that to me, I wouldn't.
That's breach of peace,
That's
officer.
my First Amendment right. Be careful
It's a
too.
breach of peace.
You know what I'm saying?